smash your Zepbound weight stall, comparing Zepbound 5 milligrams versus Zepbound 15 milligrams. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 108 pounds, which is crazy, the last 2+ years of being on Zepbound. And on today's episode, I want to talk, this was a ton of viewer questions on weight stalls, but comparing them of how the strategy would be to smash through those Zepbound weight stalls versus like the second dose, which is Zepbound 5 milligrams, versus the highest dose, Zepbound 15 milligrams. Now, to give context, I am not a medical healthcare provider, simply my experience, strength, and hope of having been on Mounjaro, Zepbound, and Tirzepatide compound the last 2+ years, and going from morbidly obese now to being super close to my goal weight and completely transforming my life to doing things like lifting weights and walking a ton miles each day from previously where I was morbidly obese and not able to do those things. So always talk with your own healthcare provider. None of this is medical advice, simply my experience, strength, and hope. And I'm going to link down below a ton of sources, free sources for you. Click the more button twice, and that will get you to the description link. If you don't know how to do that here on YouTube, it's just click the more and more. Let's dive in. So comparing Zepbound 5 milligrams, the second dose, it starts at Zepbound 2.5 milligrams, and then goes to the next dose, which you may be on like your 5th week of taking Zepbound or your 7th week earlier on. Now, that's not for everybody, but for a lot of people. So that perspective versus Zepbound 15 milligrams, for example, I've been on Zepbound 15 milligrams for over a year plus now. It's been a long time. I've been on it for a while. And so comparing those two strategies, when there is a weight stall, when there is a weight plateau, in my humble non-medical opinion, always talk to your own healthcare provider. These videos should hopefully help punt you to have conversations with your healthcare provider, are very different. They're very different for me, have been. And that's what I want to encourage you with. And in my free encouragement group, which I'll link down below, we talk about this a lot because it's normal. Like, I want to help normalize that you're going to have weight stalls or weight plateaus. Now, if it's going on months or more than like 3 weeks, then that is definitely kind of like, okay. But if it's a couple of days here and there or a week here and there, that's also even a couple of weeks, very normal. Like, can we just, before I even dive into all of my show notes, just normalize that's normal and that you're not abnormal for having this pocket of where it's going to slow down. So for Zepbound 5 milligrams, the second dose, the first thing for me that I learned, and when I started, to give some context, because it gets confusing sometimes for people, I started on Mounjaro. There was no such thing as Zepbound, but Zepbound and Mounjaro are the same thing. They're now just have different FDA approvals, but same manufacturer, which is Eli Lilly, same dosing. It's now just one is for type 2 diabetes, Mounjaro, and then Zepbound is for sleep apnea and obesity management. So to clarify, if people get confused on that, that's what's happening. So for Zepbound 5 milligrams, for me, when I was on it, and I was on it, but just for the 4 weeks, the 4 pens, 1 pen for each week, it was learning, number one, and I'm going to give you action items for each one of these, learning body cues. Coming from the background of being morbidly obese, it was fascinating to me to be like, oh, that's what normal people, and remember, normal is a dishwasher setting, what normal people feel when they get full to put their fork down. Just learning that brain-body connection of, oh, that's fullness. That for me took me months, and I still have to practice it to this day, which for some of you may sound very elementary, but for me, that's been my journey. That has been my journey. And I know for many thousands and thousands and thousands of you, because you guys tell me, you have also experienced something very similar with that too. Like, okay, that brain-body connection, learning those body cues, because our body's giving us continuous cues all day long if we choose to listen to them. And one of them is, okay, what does full feel like? Okay. What does hungry feel like? What does I'm tired feel like? I don't know about you, but for me, being morbidly obese, when I got tired, that was also a signal to eat. It was one of my patterns that I had to unlearn once I learned what full felt like, of like, no, I don't need any more food. I am full. Kitchen's closed. I've had my nutrients for the day, and learning those body cues took me months and months and months. And full disclosure, going back to the weight stall piece, I didn't realize that I was learning that as I was learning it, but I was learning it. And many of you probably can relate. You're not even realizing that you're in the process of learning all of these things of what it should feel like. But when you do, you're like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy of how my life could have, for me, been so different. If I had had this in like my teenage years and 20s and 30s and into my 40s, like how much my life would have been different, just knowing that that's what my body feels like at fullness level and hunger level. But I didn't feel those until I literally started taking GLP-1 and GIP-1. Like it's been crazy. Number two, my food reactions and a correlation to a Zepbound weight stall. Now, when I was on 5 mg, I did not have a weight stall. I just continued because I was over this, to give context, because obesity is a wide hoop and it is not one size fits all. I weighed over 300 pounds. Some of you may be obese for your height category in the 200-ish pounds range. Some of you may be watching, and I know some of you are, who weigh 400 pounds or 500 pounds. You're at, like, we're different. And so there's this big, and men are different than women also on how they react with GLP-1 medication. And so learning food reactions in conjunctions to weight stalls takes time to learn that. And how does my body react with sugar, with grease, with having fruits and vegetables, with having protein foods, feeling what my body feels like, going back to that number one of what is happening within my body, took a long time. It took me longer than even Zepbound 5 mg to know what that feels like. For me, well, for everybody, Zepbound has the four most common gastrointestinal side effects: diarrhea, constipation, nausea, vomiting. That there is, your body feels those things differently. But for me, if I have sugar, that can lead to horrible blowout diarrhea. And on different doses, it's been different things for me. One of you awesome viewers is like, Elizabeth, actually on Zepbound 5 mg, you did have nausea. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot that. If that was you, thank you for saying that to me. I had totally forgotten that piece. But having blowout diarrhea if I have grease, or later on, that could be, instead of diarrhea, horrible nausea. Now on Zepbound 15 mg, if I have those foods, but learning the food reactions with that of how my body feels, and then in conjunction of having a weight stall, how to push past that. Now, learning these things seems so elementary for some of you, and so for me, it was not. It was literally learning these basic foundation concepts so I could then move on to the next level, like being able to lift weights and doing some of these other things. The next thing for me was nutrient component. I have learned from our bariatric brothers and sisters about having less food and not being able to eat as much food. I was very worried about the nutrient component, which was one of the many reasons why I started having Gem Bites. They are my absolute favorite daily bite vitamin that I have. I love them because they are actually real food. It is real food in there, and they taste so good. Here, this is what it looks like. Like, it has like real pumpkin seeds in it, turmeric, citrus. The ginger helps my stomach when I am having, like, I can have these in the morning. I typically like to have mine in the afternoon because I like to have mine with my decaf coffee around 2 or 3 is like a treat. But for me, I have had them in the morning because of the ginger component. It helps to soothe my tummy sometimes. And so that's been very, very helpful. I've had blood panels done. My blood panels are excellent. I always recommend talk to your healthcare provider, get a blood panel, and before taking any supplement, talk to your healthcare provider. But having Gem Bites for me has been a game changer in terms of that nutrient component. Being able to have in there the ginger, the spices, the turmeric, and it really makes such a big difference for me in taking, and the reason why I continue to take it, y'all, and I've taken it for Gem Bites for so long, is because it works for me. It works. I know that I'm getting that nutrient component with it as well. But I was very concerned about that, particularly on a weight stall. If at the earlier dose and then now being at Zepbound 15 mg, the highest dose, having Gem Bites for me has made such a big difference. So they have been very, very gracious to give us a discount with your purchase. So you can go to dailygem.com/queen, use the discount code QUEEN, QUEEN. I will also link that down in the description link below too. But if you are thinking the same thing that I was about the nutrient component, I mean, that for me is such a big, it was a big thought process of, oh, is my weight stall in correlation to not having the proper nutrients, not eating the right things? And so because it's real food, Gem has been so, so helpful. And here's what some of the ingredients look like as well. I mean, it's power-packed prebiotics in there as well, and probiotics, particularly with stomach issues, those Zepbound gastrointestinal ones. Love, 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 love. So That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, going into the emotional management component. I did not, full disclosure, me being fully, I feel naked saying this, but I'm gonna do it in hopes of hopefully helping someone else, was the emotional management like 1.0 with food in conjunction with Zepbound 5 milligrams. I still didn't eat the quote things that I eat now. Like I've completely changed my lifestyle with food for the most part, and with exercise too. That started to happen at Zepbound 5 milligrams, was nowhere as near what I've learned now of what I had then. And so that emotional management regulation, while I could not binge eat on Zepbound, I've done it a couple of times, but I've had consequences that were gastrointestinal that were awful, which is why I won't, because I know how bad the consequences will be. But that emotional management with food, very much I started to learn how to handle that. Like, okay, so at nighttime, I had mentioned earlier, for me, that used to be the time I would binge eat or overeat or have quiet time or soothe. And then, so what do I do to replace that instead, now that I'm not consuming the calories that I was, and also not having that as an activity at nighttime? What am I replacing that with? And for me, it's been a lot of replacement instead of like completely eliminating. Instead of completely getting rid of something, having a substitute instead. So for me at nighttime, I've gotten into watching some shows. I'll do more meditation. I'll clean a little bit. I'll hang out with my hot husband, or I'll just literally go to bed early or sit in quiet, because sometimes that's really what my body needs, is just a like, it depends. But I've gotten really good at nighttime of doing these alternate things as opposed to going down to the kitchen. I won't even go to the kitchen now. But on Zepbound 5 milligrams, if you're having a weight stall and still engaging in old behaviors, I want to share with you that I've been there. I've been there, and that you're not a super freak. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a super freak. I've literally paid over $15,000 for this medication, and I felt like I was, quote, blowing it. I'm like, what am I doing? For me, I wasn't blowing it. It was part of learning the process of emotional management in conjunction with food, from going to morbidly obese to now being almost at a healthy weight. And so I want to encourage you that you're on the journey, not to beat yourself up. You're on the journey. It's like emotional management 1.0. When we get to Zepbound 15 milligrams, I'm going to talk about the 2.0, 3.0 of that. But the 1.0 of like, oh, for me, it was like this awakening of like, oh, I'm not going to fall to pieces by not overeating. And that was huge for me. Number 4 was the control over food. I used to think I had no power, like food had power over me and I had no power over food. Of literally being like, okay, I've hit my calories for the day, stopping. And that used to be so painful. And before Zepbound, and now with GLP-1 medication and Tirzepatide weight loss, I have control back over food, being like, okay, I've had my food for the day. I feel good. I can stop. But if I go past that, that for me is when these weight stalls or these weight plateaus happen, is when I'm pushing past knowing that control, and I don't really like to use the word control very much, but the power over it, of being able to, like, I feel my body, I'm able to stop with food. Learning that skill set has very much helped with weight stalls and weight plateaus, particularly early on. And so if you're in your 5th week or 6th week or 7th week or whatever week you're on with Zepbound 5 milligrams, for me, that's been part of the process of simply learning that. And sometimes I did really well and sometimes I did not, but that was part of the learning process with it. Number 5, if it's ongoing of a weight stall or weight plateau, talking to your healthcare provider about titrating up. There's so much data, and I've done so much data. I'm not really going to deep dive into the data today unless I have it handy right here, which I don't think I do. I don't have it right here handy. I don't think that I do, of having it handy of these, how much the weight difference is with the different doses, and being able to use it like a teeter-totter saw of side effects versus weight loss, of where you can titrate up to. But titrating up very well may be your answer. Where the problem or challenge, I shouldn't say problem, but challenge with that could be, is if your side effects are great. If you're having blowout diarrhea at Zepbound 5 milligrams, would that make sense to titrate up? Probably not, because you're probably going to have more blowout diarrhea, right? Like, why increase the dose with more of it if you're not able to tolerate that super well? That is a conversation having with your healthcare provider who's dispensing this medication to you. Number 5, going back to the emotional management piece of this, but following a meal plan is number 5. I have a free meal plan on countessofshopping.com. I'll link it down in the description link below. But for that weight stall, that meal plan is dietitian created. I didn't create that. I paid a dietitian over $1,000 for 2 weeks worth of meal plans. There's 2 separate links for them to have a meal plan that was dietitian created specifically for GLP-1 patients. Now, obviously talk to your doctor before taking any sort of meal plan, but that was helpful for me to just follow something of like, you tell me what to do, I'll go do it. And so I couldn't track food, which would be one of my tools that we're going to talk about on Zepbound 15 milligrams. I could not do that at 5 milligrams. I had to have more time under my belt with that emotional management piece to be able to track my food. So following a meal plan was a better use of my time and a better use of being able to lose weight and push past weight stalls and weight plateaus. So if you need a free plan, there's one on countessofshopping.com that was dietitian created. There's actually 2 weeks worth. Okay, switching over to Zepbound 15 milligrams, the highest dose, one is knowing that there's studies, and I've talked about these studies a ton to cite my sources, at 72 weeks for Zepbound, Tirzepatide use, that there's a set point, basically, of where once you hit that, that's kind of the weight range. It doesn't really continue to go much further than that. It can, and for me it has, I'm not saying it doesn't, but there is a set point of where you hit that, and it's typically on average at 72 weeks. Some people it's more, some people it's less, some people don't have that, some people, like for me, very much, I pushed past that, but now I know for sure I'm at a set point of like me pushing past the 108 pounds Zepbound weight loss is taking everything. I'm doing all of the right things. And so that set point at 72 weeks, that's number 1. At Zepbound 15 milligrams, there is nowhere to titrate up to. And that's usually the answer for these weight stalls, is titrating up to the next dose. There is no higher dose. For Zepbound 15 milligrams, that is the highest GLP-1 right now out of the entire GLP-1 market for GLP-1 doses. Highest out of all of them, all of the brands, all the things right now for a brand name. And so you can't go higher, but recognizing number 1 is that there's a set point at 72 weeks of where that's kind of where people cap out, is at that 72-week mark. And I'm not saying that medically because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm telling you this point so you can go talk to your medical doctor to explain it in medical terms, but I want to put it on your radar to at least know what to ask or talk to the medical provider about. Number 2, that there is Body Questions 2.0 of learning those body cues I talked about at the beginning for Zepbound 5 milligrams. For Zepbound 15 milligrams, at this point, I've gotten really good at knowing when my body feels tired, when my body is moody. So much so now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so moody, I'm gonna have PMS soon. My period's coming. Like just knowing my body so much more. I am super full, I need to stop. I'm super hungry, I need to eat. I'm just a little bit hungry. Like learning these different levels has been like a 2.0 body cue course for me to better understand, and then I can use that to my advantage for my Zepbound weight stall or Zepbound plateau. Number 3, the emotional management of knowing that there are going to be weight fluctuations. It just is. Like the sky is blue, the grass is green, things just are, and weight fluctuations just are. Weight stalls just are. Sometimes. Sometimes it's other things going on too. If it's more than like 3 weeks, basically. But if you're in like week 2 and you're like, oh my gosh, like sometimes things just are. And that means that we need to readjust, recalibrate of having more calories or less calories. Like there's different things with that. And again, I'm not claiming to know all of that, but it sets on the radar about the emotional management component that there's going to be this, for me, it's not been this like straight down line of weight loss. It's been like, it's gone down, the pathway's gone down, but along that pathway, it's gone up and down. Number 4 is protein-focused foods for muscle mass, changing over for a weight stall of really getting good with protein-focused foods. That for me has made a big difference, and I have my favorite proteins. I'll link those in the description link below. And then along those lines also, I've talked about this too, changing up and not just my protein, but volume-focused meals like this one, having a ton more fruits and vegetables for the volume component. At Zepbound 15 milligrams, I can eat a lot more than I could at Zepbound 5 milligrams. I do. My appetite suppression is not like it once was. And certainly when I went from Zepbound 5 milligrams to Zepbound 7.5 milligrams, that was very different. And so eating more, but eating more nutritious foods of fruits and vegetables for me has fared very, very well. Next, number 6, tracking. I now, because I have the emotional management piece on a weight plateau or weight stall, I can track my food much more easily and it does not trigger me. It used to trigger the dickens out of me tracking my food. It doesn't trigger me at all anymore. I don't mind it. I can look at it as a mathematical equation and not get triggered with it. And number 8, I don't need to follow a meal plan anymore. So I mentioned earlier, I have a free meal plan on my website. I don't need to follow a meal plan anymore. I create the meal plan. Like I know now because I've tracked my food, how many calories, how much protein for a lot of things that I've eaten. But that has taken me the better half of the last year to learn this skill set. And so if you're having a weight stall or a weight plateau, it's very, very helpful to know like, okay, this much shrimp equals this much protein and calories. This much strawberries equals this many calories. Like learning those things, a cupcake, how many calories is that, right? Because I do believe royal living meeting real life here at Countess of Shopping, I still eat other foods and I still do eat things that are not fruits and vegetables and protein all the time. Someone saw me out recently and I was at a Mexican restaurant and I was like, yeah, I was having some queso and yeah, I was having some enchiladas, intentionally planned on like day 6. So my gastrointestinal things were not the same as day 2 or day 3. Intentionally, so, and I'm like, I do eat, but the portion sizes are different and the intensity and frequency in which I do that is a lot different on Zepbound 15 milligrams than it was back on Zepbound 5 milligrams. Now, the overarching thing is some people stay on Zepbound 5 milligrams till maintenance. They don't need to titrate up. If you're watching this video, there are many of you of where you've hit your goal weight. Like I said earlier, that obesity is a wide hoop. I mentioned that earlier, that people who are on Zepbound 5 milligrams can get you there without even titrating up. They don't need to go higher than that. And that is where recognizing some of these things of some people will be on Zepbound 5 milligrams for just 1 month, and some will be on Zepbound 5 milligrams till they get to maintenance. And that is okay. We all have our own journeys, and recognizing that if someone tells you that there's a cookie cutter carbon thing, run, because that's not true. That's not true. That person does not know what they're talking about. It is a wide spectrum and there's lots of different solutions. You know the saying, all roads lead to Rome? We have all different ways to get to the end destination of which we want. And our end destination also might be different too. For me, losing this weight so I can go horseback riding, to play with my kid, to be able to buckle a safety belt, to go on roller coaster rides. Like that may be different than say like a 65-year-old man watching this video, right? And so I want to encourage you, run your own race, put your blinders on, talk to your healthcare provider, and keep seeking. I have been at this, it's not a weight plateau because I'm very close. I've lost a ton of weight. I'm lifting weights. Making the lifestyle changes. And I think at the end of the day, that's the most important thing is, are we working towards making permanent lifestyle changes for ourselves? So if we do go off this medication, it's not recommended because 70% of people do gain back the weight when they do go off the medication, but do we have the tools for success to keep the weight off? And so making those permanent sustainable changes has been so important in my focus. And that's where this all goes to. It's a lot. It's a lot. But me being over 300 pounds, that was a lot too. And I far better take the pain of this versus the pain of being 300 pounds and dying a very slow, early grave death as a result of morbid obesity, which happens because we know that how many more diseases we get and the lifestyle in which, for me, I knew the path that I was headed on. I'll take this. I'll take all of this, which is also, by the way, while I have a free encouragement group, many of you noticed that it's changed off Facebook. Facebook is continuously shutting down GLP-1 Facebook groups. I don't know why. That's the million-dollar question. Many of you ask why. It's not just me. It's many, many people whose groups are getting shut down. Mine was shut down and then brought back. Many people's groups are shut down and brought back and then shut down and brought back, and I'm not doing that, which is why the Count and I have created our own platform for a group. It is awesome. It's hotter than hot. It is private. once you put your email in, and there's a whole it's an easy step-by-step process. No one can see that email. Someone had asked that recently. You can see your email, but no one else can see your email as your thing. If you see that, and that some people get scared by that, don't worry, like, it's private. We've intentionally designed it to be private, but it is for our community. And my free gift to you, the Count and I have invested over $1,000 of our own money. By year's end, we'll have invested over $5,000 for free, our gift to you, because it matters that much to me and my perspective of daily continuation on Zepbound and GLP-1 to make these permanent lifestyle changes with food and with workouts. And that for me is daily focus, which is why I have a daily show here on YouTube. And so YouTube's not going anywhere. This is in conjunction to that as additional emotional management piece, and friends and things like that. So my sweet friends, I love you guys so super much. Make sure you go to the links down in the description link below. And also go to dailygem.com/queen, QUEEN, to get your discount on your Gem Daily Bites, my absolute favorite. I love them so much. I love them so much. And our emoji of the day is going to be a tree, because you are blooming right now. All the trees in here in Virginia are blooming so beautifully. So our emoji of the day is a tree. I do emojis of the day. So I know that you got this far in the video. It helps me to get to know you better because I care, and that pattern recognition of seeing your name pop up helps me to get to know you because I care. And you guys are truly like my besties. Truly, if you've made it this far in the video, hey bestie. So tree is the emoji of the day. It's also my bat signal to pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought, as all are welcome at the Countess of Shopping table. And our question of the day, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me in the comments. My sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow.